How you doing, everybody? My name is Octavius Devon Blount. I'm the coordinator for the Mayor's Office of Black Male Engagement, and we're here for another Spotlight series. But today we have a special guest. We're doing something for Women's History Month, where we spotlight Black women that are doing great work in the city of Philadelphia. And today we have a special guest. Her name is Jovida Hill. She's going to talk to us a little bit about what she does, how does she impact Black women and girls, and also what advice could she provide Black boys and Black girls on how to navigate life. So, Jovida, how are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to be here today. Thank you so much.
I want to thank you for coming in and also supporting this effort that I'm trying to put together to show that we support Black women from our office. If you can tell us a little bit about yourself, besides the hat that you have on with the Office of Women Engagement, but also outside of that role, who are you?
Wow, who am I? Mm-hmm. Well, number one, I am a mother of two sons who I hope to have raised into being the kind of gentlemen that their father and I raised them to be. Okay. And so when we talk about the Office of Engagement for Women, we're talking about women who have every investment in the lives of boys and men. Say, for instance, even if you're talking about how different feminism looks for African American women, it has always looked different for us. If we're talking about the women's suffrage, we're getting ready to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment that gave women the right to vote. But when you listen to people tell you about suffragettes, you don't hear them talk about the Black women who created the suffrage movement. Yeah. The suffrage movement grew out of the abolitionist movement. And so for Black women, freedom for Black people has always been part of our agenda for freedom for women. So it's always been inextricably tied. I don't know if you recall in terms of history, you're talking about women who were feminists back in the 30s and 40s, and they were called race women. Yeah. And the reason why they were race women was because they never saw the advancement of women as separate from the advancement of Black men. Okay. It's always been part of our agenda, which makes Black feminism different from white feminism.
Okay. Now, I heard you said there's a difference between, as far as support from Black women to Black men. I know there's been like a big trajectory of like Black women in power, Black women in leadership. How do you think that ignites what you do or makes you feel like I can do anything in this world?
It's very, very exciting. Yeah. It's like we've seen this before, but it petered out. I don't think not this time. These young women of the 21st century, we're not going back. And they're not going to they're not taking us back. So we're seeing something historical, not just for women, but especially for women of color in leadership positions, and something that we haven't seen before. Like I said, it's very exciting. But in terms of feeling like I could do anything, I was raised by a strong Black man who taught me and my 6 sisters. My father had to raise us alone with the help of his sister. Our mother died when we were kids. Okay. And so I come from a family of 6 sisters, so it's 7 girls. And my father never thought that we were less than. He never thought that there wasn't anything that we couldn't do. I never even knew that there were things that women could do that couldn't do that men could. That just was not part of how I was raised.
Yeah.
So you ask, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
I am a woman with 6 sisters who think they can do anything they want to and have. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really grateful for the way I was raised.
Okay. Now, I know you said that you can do anything in this world. And I know you just finished your summit last Friday. So can you tell me a little bit about why you do this summit, the Women's Summit?
Well, first of all, our office is new.
Mm-hmm.
The Office of Engagement for Women came in with the Guinea administration, and as well as the Philadelphia Commission for Women.
Okay.
Essentially, in 2015, there was a ballot initiative where Philadelphia voters voted for whether or not they wanted a commission for women. Mm-hmm. They voted unanimously yes, and our commission is the first since that ballot initiative.
Okay.
30 years ago, there was a women's commission, but it was by executive order. Mm-hmm. And so prior to its current configuration, there had not been one since the Wilson Good administration.
Okay. Okay. Now, I know with your summit, you had a bunch of young women and girls in the room. How do you think the women that were in the room that were on the panel or the breakout sessions ignited the young women that were in the room?
So far, it was amazing. Mm-hmm. The anecdotal feedback, we haven't analyzed our surveys yet, but the anecdotal feedback was very positive. And I think I'm almost certain that we're doing something right. Mm-hmm. And that's because our first summit, we had 125 people that attended. Okay. And we were sold out, and that was all we could accommodate. Mm-hmm. Last year, we had 250 women and girls. Mm-hmm. And maybe 200 women and maybe 50 girls. Okay. This year, we had over 200 women and 100 girls. Improvement. Our numbers keep growing. Mm-hmm. We have more schools bringing their girls as a field trip to come to our all-day summit. Yeah. And so I think we're on the right track. Mm-hmm. I think there's a thirst for what we do in terms of inspiring leadership, encouraging leadership. Oh, and by the way, having young people part of the planning. Mm-hmm. This year, we included the young women from the Philadelphia Youth Commission that helped us plan our youth breakout sessions. Mm-hmm. And so including them in leadership is very important. Mm-hmm. And also being able to step back and let young women lead. That's really important.
Yeah. I like that you said take a step back because I know one person that I've talked to before said voice and choice, that you have to step back and let the kids speak because if you're trying to do a summit for them, they know what they want. So when I talk about the women that at your summit ignited everything into these young women, what advice can you give young women, young black women specifically, on how to navigate this world that we live in? And also, how can you give some advice to young black men to support these women in getting into leadership or taking that role that they need to, empower?
I think to answer that question, one of the things that happened a few weeks ago, I was at a summit. It was a conference. Mm-hmm. It was the Sadie Collective in honor of Sadie Alexander, who back in the 1920s, she was the first woman at the University of Pennsylvania to get a degree in economics. Okay. And then after doing all of that, it was really very hard, not only for black women, but women in general, to work in a male-dominated profession like economics. Mm-hmm. So then she broke the barriers again And so she went to law school at Penn.
Okay.
She became the first African American woman to graduate from Penn, first African American woman in Pennsylvania to pass the bar. So I was asked the same question at this conference. Okay. And what I said to the young women, and I can say that to young men, there are a whole lot of people who went before you, whose shoulders you stand on, that you don't. They were asking about code switching. You don't have to code switch. My best advice to young men, young women, is be your authentic selves. Okay. Authenticity, I think, carries the day.
Okay. Now, I liked how you led into that, saying you're standing on the shoulders of people that came before you. And I'd like to thank you for coming in, because without you saying that, it has me thinking, okay, Jovida just dropped the mic and said, you know what, I just said what I needed to say, and I'm done. But I'm standing on your shoulders because you came before me, like you said, and you're putting this pathway in front of me to say, look, you can be your authentic self, you can be you, you can understand where you're going, but you also got to remember who came before you and ask questions. So I want to thank you for coming in, and I also want to thank you for being a woman of power. And being in the position that you're in right now, it's hard. It's just you. And just being able to ignite me is very helpful. And I appreciate you for being in my life. And I appreciate you for understanding who I am, too.
I appreciate you, too. But I want to correct you for a minute.
Okay.
I am not a woman of power. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because I am part of all of these women all together. Our collective voices make all of us powerful. We have a participatory stakeholder model that we use in our office, where things come to the fore in partnership with the people who we're trying to provide solutions for. And it's this partnership and this collective voice, and it's our collective voices are our collective power. It's not mine. Okay. It's shared.
I like that. I want to thank you for correcting me and explaining why, because some people, can, put you in check and say and not explain why, and explain what's a better way to say what you're trying to say, and I want to thank you for that. You can check us out at our next Spotlight series. We have 2 other women coming today. If you want to check us out at our next Spotlight series, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're also on YouTube. Facebook, we're on OBME at PHL. Check us out at our next Spotlight series.